Hey, two more things. This golden rule in baseball that's come out. I don't know if you've heard about this. Okay. Manford, the commish, the man himself, is presenting a rule where a player, you can save an at-bat for one player at any time you want in the game. Yes, I know. Look at your voice. Look at yours.
So you can put them in the lineup anywhere, anytime?
Yeah, you can save that, and they can be playing. I mean,
That's
not
my
past
first reaction.
yet,
This is the first time
why
hearing
would-
it.
why
Why
would
you got
you-
to do that?
I mean, it ruins the integrity of the game.
Exactly.
Step into the Fieldhouse, your front row seat to legendary victories and untold stories. Hey, I'm your host, Lance Lunner, breaking down sports from the inside out, along with co-host Jimmy Lackey. It's more than just a game. It's the Fieldhouse Podcast.
Hey, welcome into the Fieldhouse Podcast. I'm your co-host, Lance Lunner. We have Jimmy Lackey, CEO of Kids Inc. Jimmy, happy after Thanksgiving. We've missed a week and had a chance to spend time with family and friends. So how was yours?
It was awesome. We had...
Do you have a tradition? Is there a Lackey tradition Thanksgiving-wise?
You know, my wife can cook when she wants to. She really can. And Thanksgiving is one of those times
when she goes all in.
Out. She starts on Tuesday. I mean, she goes to the store. She does it all. And she starts making cornbread on Monday to dry it out so she can make whatever you want to call it, dressing, stuffing, whatever you want to call it. I mean, she does the whole thing. And her and the girls just put on a spread like nothing else. And everybody comes over. They do an unbelievable job. And then by about 4 o'clock, we're all in the chairs just over there, comatose.
Yeah.
But they do an unbelievable job. My brother-in-law got to come in this year, and he's a meat buyer for H-E-B Foods down in San Antonio. So he brought the bird and he brought a ham that were outstanding. And so we had some really, really good turkey and ham.
So does he get the best of the best?
Yeah.
What is the best of the best?
I have no idea.
Ham-wise,
I don't know if it's a turkey that just poses pretty when you get him. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, it was outstanding.
Anybody who can cook a great turkey, I totally respect. You know what I mean? That's
my favorite turkey.
Gift.
My favorite turkey, and I used to get one every year, and we couldn't get anybody to answer the phones this year. I'm sorry, Popeyes, but have you ever had a Popeyes fried turkey at Thanksgiving?
No.
They are outstanding. They're Cajun fried. Oh my goodness!
Really?
Oh yeah.
So they'll cook you the whole turkey.
Oh yeah, it'll be pre-cooked. All you got to do is put it in the oven.
That's pretty cool.
It is outstanding, and we've gotten one every year from them. But I called 2 of the stores, and they wouldn't answer the phone. I'm like, okay, I guess Jim. Thank goodness Jim's bringing one from San Antonio.
Yeah, well, some of those are doing some renovation as well, so maybe that.
Yep.
But I will say this: one of my good friends, Bray Goodhart, who is an amazing cook at House Divided.
Yeah,
go slow. That's his
low
method.
Low and slow.
Yeah, low and slow.
Yep.
But he can really cook. But I'm just going to tell you what I said. He goes, my turkey's going to be definitely moist this Thanksgiving. And I go, why? He goes, Benny Keith turkey, and I'm getting it from. And he wasn't cooking it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I was surprised.
It's crazy how they can pre-cook these things now, and you just got to put them in the oven.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
No thawing them out.
What did you have to have on your table? What do you have to have on your table?
Oh, the dressing that Kim makes.
Yeah.
I could just have that by itself with a little bit of that brown gravy, and I'm good.
I love my mom, and she and bless her soul. Yesterday was her birthday, by the way, in heaven. Obviously, she was. That's the 3rd year since we haven't celebrated her birthday. But anyway, it hit me. See, I never became a fan of dressing because I think hers was a tad dry, quite honestly.
Really?
But her mashed potatoes, double butter, whatever she did to it, I'm learning.
Butter does anything.
We just went to town. I don't know if she put something else in it or whatever, but we really can't duplicate it. Like there was something in there. But I have to have mashed potatoes.
That's like my granddad's cough syrup.
Yeah.
My granddad was a pharmacist, and he made cough syrup for the family back in the day. And when my granddad passed away, my mom and my aunt took it to a local pharmacy in Dumas to get them to see if they could tell what was in it. And they said, yeah, it's really good, but there's a little too much codeine in here for us to be able to replicate this. So there's your clue. But he added a little codeine to his cough syrup. But
It worked, though.
Oh, you bet it did.
It worked. Yeah,
you bet it
yeah,
did.
yeah.
But we didn't get to have any more of that.
Hey, we just want to remind you this is a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network. We can't thank you enough for tuning in, and we love when you talk to us in public and ask us to get guests. We're trying to effort a few, college stars we have and things like that. But do you have a wish list for a guest?
You know, we've checked off a lot of the boxes early on.
Yes,
that I really wanted to get in here.
Including Leslie Broadhurst, the late great, yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad we got that one in first.
Yeah.
When we look back on all of this, that'll be that montage that Maddie will be able to put together.
That's somebody we need to ask, though. Maddie could bring in something. I always like to be a little uncomfortable in life, you know what I mean? You're like a little out of your comfort zone. And maybe she could get us a guest that we're like, wow, we're going to have to do some
I still want to get
research on, or we somebody that she would enjoy us having a conversation with.
Yeah, we're going to need to do it in the off season, but I want to get our friend Lo Van Pham in here. Lo is an NFL official, and
you got to go to an NFL game.
Well, now here's my story to that.
Okay,
so Lo calls me and says, "Hey, I'm going to be in New Orleans. I got tickets for you. You want to come?" So Kim and I made arrangements.
When he says in New Orleans, he's actually officiating a NFL game.
Yeah, he's an NFL official.
Yeah,
this is his third year on a crew, and so he'll. He was at Buffalo the other night in the snow. He'll be at the Dome in Minnesota this week. But so he called, so we made arrangements, fly out to New Orleans, go spend the weekend out there. I had our whole trip planned. We're going to go to Mass at St. Louis Cathedral, 6,400 parishioners. And
really?
6,400? Right there on Jackson Square. I had the whole weekend planned around making sure we got to go to this Mass at this cathedral.
It's an epic church.
Yeah, and so we were supposed to fly out at 3 o'clock on Friday, and at noon we get a phone call, and my mother-in-law had a spell at the food. She was working at the food pantry there at St. Anne's in Canyon, and we had to get her to the emergency room. Long story short, had to have her in the hospital for a couple of days, so I had to cancel our trip.
Yeah.
Called Lo, and he said, man, my buddy on my crew is wanting 2 tickets. I can get them. He goes, send them to me, and I'll send them to him. So tickets didn't go to waste. The hotel couldn't have been nicer. Refunded all of our money, which they didn't have to do.
Yeah.
Southwest Airlines, piece of cake. They put all my stuff back on our card, and so we were able to, get everything canceled. But we didn't get to go to New Orleans and see Lo, and I was really disappointed about that. And he called last week and said, "Can you come to Minnesota the next week?" I said, "I can't get there now.
That's cool.
We got to wrap up Christmas, and so
I need to get in on that friend list. I would like to be invited by Lo.
He's such a good guy.
He is such a good guy. Yeah,
great guy. And I wish he's not living here in Amarillo anymore, and so I don't get to see him as often. But
where's he live?
They're living in Plano, and and I know that's
I didn't know that.
Well, think about it.
Oh yeah, travel.
That he can get there and go.
Yeah,
and
that's wise.
That's one less connection.
And that's his full-time job right now. Just so people know, that's what he's dedicated to. So
and it's
interesting.
It's probably 9-10 months out of the year now because they do mini camps and they do all that stuff, and so
and you don't want to lose that job.
No.
Yeah,
he's doing exactly what he's wanted to do, and he's a Big 12 official for years, and
he started out right here in Kids Inc.
Oh yeah,
you know
he did.
What I mean? So yeah,
great guy.
Hey, Jimmy, this is our 30th podcast. We have a tradition now on the Fieldhouse Podcast. When we hit that number, we ask,
"Yikes!
What are we going to do when we get to 100?"
I don't know, but I forgot to look up numbers this week. 30's not hitting me.
We may have to. 30 hit me right away as a Bronco.
Okay, well, go. You
Bronco
go.
fan. I'll go. TD Terrell Davis.
Oh yeah.
Obviously the first Super Bowls with Elway were with TD. The first one they've ever won. He finally a running game came to the Denver Broncos, and it was Terrell Davis.
Yep.
And
he's on the list.
Very short-lived career, 5-6 years is all, kind of like Gale Sayers, but TD. But I would think that there is a number 30 that most Texans would say, "Are you kidding me? You have to mention this guy."
Yeah, go.
You go. Who's your 30?
Well, I'm looking here. Lawrence McCutcheon.
Lawrence McCutcheon, yeah. I saw him play.
Man, I didn't even think about this before today. Icky Woods with the Bengals. Remember Icky Woods, the shuffle?
The Icky Shuffle, yeah.
Yeah. Of course, Terrell Davis on here. I didn't know this. Look who the header is.
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan. I don't remember. I forgot he wore 30 with the Angels.
With the Angels, yeah, and then we know him as 34, really, with the Rangers. But he wore 30. So
Kim and I got to see him. This was really cool. We sat kind of off of, I guess it would be the right field line and the foul line and the right field outfield, kind of at that corner at the Astrodome one time. Or no, it wasn't at the Astrodome. It was, well, it might have been at the Astrodome. I can't remember. Anyway, they were playing the Mets, Strawberries down in right field, and Nolan got his 200th win in the National League that day.
Wow.
When he was pitching for the Astros. So we got to see him pitch that day and get his 200th win in the National League. And then, but watched Darryl Strawberry, and he popped one out of the park that day. And
yeah, that's a lot.
That was fun to be there that day.
It's amazing the memories you get, you know, just watching them. I was in the left field bleacher seats at the old Arlington Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
It's Clemens versus Ryan, okay? And I don't get down there that often, so you want to see about a 3.5-hour game. Game lasts like an hour and 56 minutes. It was 2-1. They're just striking everybody out, those two guys going back and forth. And we were out of there in 2 hours.
I have a
it was cool.
Great story about the old Texas ballpark.
What about it?
So I'm running the alumni office at WT at the time, and we had quarterly regent meetings on campus, and I always had to give a report at the regents meetings. And those are some contentious times back in the day before we joined the A&M system, when we were, West Texas State University. And so it's going to be our last Board of Regents meeting before we transfer governance to the A&M system. So this is in August of 90.
Okay.
Kim and myself and Willie and a couple of friends went to Dallas for the weekend, went to a couple Rangers games, went to Wet and Wild, went to Six Flags. We did it all for the weekend. And so Willie said, let's go again to the Rangers game tonight, and I'll drive home, because I had to be at the Regents meeting at 10 the next morning.
Ooh.
So we go, and he drives, and I sleep on the way home. And so we're in the meeting, and this is back when Dr. Roach was there, and there was a lot of contention going on. Boone Pickens is the board chairman, and our faculty senate president, who was not real favorable of things with the regents, gives up to give the faculty senate report, and he's lambasting the regents and everything about current administration at WT, and it's awful. And I'm sitting over here between two very elegant ladies that were pretty big donors to the university at the time, and knowing that I'm next, because I always follow the faculty senate president. And so he gets done, and Boone Pickens is sitting over there with his glasses down like this. He never looked up.
Does he say anything?
Oh, yeah. He says, I'm not going to say the faculty member's name, but he's going to say, Dr. So-and-so, there's a lot of things I'm going to miss about coming to these meetings every quarter, but one I'm sure as hell isn't listening to your report. Now we'll hear from Jimmy Lackey, director of the Alumni Association. And I got to follow that.
Wow.
And so I walk up there. This is a true story, Lance. I walk up there, and my boss at the time was Bruce Grimes, used to be the athletic director, and Bruce was also the VP for institutional advancement. And so Bruce would always say, Jimmy, 2 or 3 bullet points, get off the stage. Just, and he was a nervous Nelly, just get up there and get off. I thought, what have I got to lose? I'm about 28, 29 years old. What have I got to lose? And I know all these regents. I know every one of them. Becky Dodson, Eddie Scott, Hazel Kelly Wilson, John Chandler. I know them all. So I get up there and I said, well, anybody see the Rangers game last night? And they're all going, yeah. And Eddie Scott said, yeah, that dang Tony Pena hit that ball out in the 8th and beat us 2-1. And I reached in my suit coat pocket and I pulled my baseball out and I said, I caught that ball last night at the Ranger Stadium and drove all night to get back here to see y'all today. And it just broke the ice in the room. They died laughing, and they needed that.
Yeah.
You could cut the tension with a knife. That's a true story. And I went back and sat down, and those 2 ladies, it was Nona Lee Barnett and Catherine Winsett, were sitting right next to me. Both of them were tapping my leg. Little kid, that was awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
But that's a true story.
That is cool.
Yeah.
What was Boone like in a meeting?
It was really cool. It was fun to sit in meetings. It was more fun to sit with and talk with him outside of a meeting, because he'd stand and talk with you. I asked him this question one time. I said, tell me what made Mesa, what was the moment that you knew Mesa was going to be big? And he looked me square in the eye and he said, Jimmy, if I didn't hire a geologist smarter than me, Mesa would have never been anything. And that's, me.
Yeah.
That's like me talking about our staff all the time.
Yeah.
If I don't hire people that have different skill sets than I do and that are smarter than me in other areas, then we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But that resonated with me a long, long time ago. That's back in the late 80s.
You think of Boone in this major league ego, which he did have, but for him to be that wise, and that's why these guys are businessmen. Boone one time invited me to play racquetball with him. I didn't know how good he was, okay?
Yeah, I bet.
Because when you're young, you think you're pretty good at everything. I get in there, and he just waxes me.
Yep.
And he never invited me back. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He invited me over to Mesa.
You were no competition.
No competition, man. And I thought I was going to be. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, those are fun experiences. He was real relaxed to talk to. Or at least he was with me. I was a kid, man. I was in my late 20s.
Yeah, no,
they
that's
didn't
cool.
have to give me that job back then, and they did, and I took advantage of it. But my gosh,
I know people who work there, and we can say this now because it's long gone. But on the day somebody would get fired at Mesa, and this is a true story, there would be an empty box in the elevator when you arrived at work. Ooh. So that thing would ride, and then somebody would come in and get that box. They would put it on your desk, and you would have to clear it out and be escorted out.
Yikes.
It was brutal. It was brutal. That's a true story.
There's your sign.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But he was on Time magazine on the cover that one time, you know, and his
deck of cards. Oh yeah, I remember
it was awesome. So
well, you know, there was another time I was on there about WT. It wasn't so good. It was on the house was on the cover of back when the president's home was a big controversy at the time, and it's just said Boone Pickens in the Roach Motel.
Yeah, the Roach Motel.
I mean, you worked at the paper at that time, Lance. When you're running an alumni office and you're trying to build goodwill for a university, man, I was never so glad when something happened at Tech or somewhere else that got us off the front page for a day or two, because we seemed to be there pretty regularly during that time.
Yeah, it was a contention. That's a good word. Hey, let's go a little rapid fire. Let's get through some of this stuff. Obviously, the 12-team playoff is on a lot of college football minds. But before that, let's talk about, we had rivalry weekend, and this weekend, as we're speaking, we will have championship weekend. But during rivalry weekend, we saw this planting of the flag that we've seen it a lot of times. Yeah. Baker Mayfield, like you said earlier, Jimmy, when we were talking before the show, before the pod, but that it's happened. But suddenly it's kind of become a thing, and everybody's just like taken back. I mean, as an athlete, don't you go protect your field?
100%.
Yeah.
You remember when Terrell Owens tried to do his thing on the Star before he was a Cowboy? Yeah, you don't do that.
Yeah.
And, especially, let's just go to the Ohio State-Michigan game. Ohio State had no business losing that ball game. None whatsoever. And that's just a monkey on their back that they had knocked off. And so they lose on their home field, and here it comes, and it all broke loose, and both of them got a $100,000 fine. And like you said, that's dropping the bucket for either one of those schools when you got a $20 million roster. But my gosh, Michigan and this is my opinion, in that particular instance, you got what you wanted.
The win.
You got the win.
Yeah.
Get on out.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to put a halt to it, and whoever's got the flag or that team, you got to suspend them or something. You've got to take something away from it they really want. $100,000 to the school doesn't affect the kids at all. So you've got to take something away from the young men who are doing it, and so it'll stop. You know what I mean?
Let's just use this as an example. Let's just take, and I'm just using Ohio State because they're the higher ranked group in the discussion. You lose 3 or 4 players to suspension when you need to win. Oh yeah, in a playoff game.
No, I agree. Yeah,
and you just
there needs to be a hard cut rule though. The NCAA is not famous for that.
Something's got teeth.
Yeah, and it needs to be in writing and settled. But I found that amusing at times. It's dangerous as well.
Yeah.
You get some real major league cheap shots if somebody wants to really blow somebody up, because you can't defend every inch of that field. That's what concerns me the most, is an injury to an assistant coach or a player or a fan who happens to be running onto the field.
Well, and I work in a situation where we don't have, you go to a Kids Inc. game, we don't have a fully paid security staff on site. We don't have all the bells and whistles that a facility like that has.
Yeah.
And when it's portrayed on national broadcast television, that trickles down. There's a trickle-down effect.
Yeah, no, totally.
To high schools, to
you'll see high school,
to
you'll
youth
see
program. I don't like it.
I know you'll see a high school kid run onto the field now and plant their flag somewhere sometime. Grab it from the band or whatever.
I'm old school, you know me, and man, that would never even have been thought of being done back in our day with any of that kind of stuff. Our coaches would have had our hides, and we'd been running until the cows came home, and so.
No, I agree. I agree.
Different times.
I get it though. I get both sides. You know what I
Sure.
mean? I do get it. It's an emotional game, and you just knocked off Ohio State once again, and
when you weren't supposed to,
and you're not going to the playoffs either. So
Yep.
yeah. Speaking of the playoffs, this is the first year the NCAA has gone from 4 to 12. Yet we still have controversy. This last one, they obviously it looks like Alabama's going to be in with the 3 losses, Miami out with the 2 losses. So we knew that 10-11 – we didn't think, in my opinion, I didn't think 10-11-12 would be the controversial – but that's going to be the issue every year. We're learning because
always
of –
going to be somebody.
And then they announced, like, look, if you lose in a championship, that's not going to affect you right now. You know, Boise State is in there. I'm glad to see that. They moved them up a little bit. But man, it's still political, though. I thought we got away from the politics of it, but it's still political because they want those named schools who will travel. Bama will travel. Miami won't.
Well, I'm looking at the list right here and sitting, 13, 14, 15. You got South Carolina, Miami, and Ole Miss. 2 of those teams are probably as good as 8, 9, 10 of those teams.
South Carolina right now is
in
arguably the hottest team in college football. Yeah. I'm with you.
Iowa State's sitting down there at 16 with 2 losses.
Yeah.
BYU's got 2 losses sitting at 17. That strength of schedule is what ends up getting you. At the end of the day,
But I think it's becoming political. I mean, there's no reason Bama should be in this year with 3
agree.
losses.
No, I agree.
I tell you what, Joey McGuire did go off and made a great point after the win over West Virginia, and a big win for Joey McGuire, but then all heck breaks loose. You lose your OC, DC. And don't get me started on that. We're going to talk about that
That's
once.
for another day.
Well, but the head coach of a college Division I football team gets to fire his OC and DC and not be held accountable? What world are we living in?
Yep.
You are the head coach. You have the final decision. And you're saying, oh, this guy didn't do his job as a DC. Well, how about you taking over and doing that job? You know what I mean? It disgusts me the way OC and DCs are fired just like that. Oh, we'll bring somebody else in and they'll get the job done.
Well, and the timing of it all, too, it's before a bowl game.
Well, you got to do that now because like a Ben Arbuckle, who
Sure.
we would love to have him on if he's in Canyon sometime. We'll text him. But congratulations to Ben, Canadian High, West Texas A&M quarterback. I got the Oklahoma offensive coordinator job. Social media is brutal, though. Yeah. They think he sounds like Lincoln Riley, the powers that be at Oklahoma. That's some of the complaints I'm hearing now. Oh, this guy, another West Texas voice we have to listen to. Yeah. Give the guy a chance. Calm down, Sooners. Calm down. Quit. Give him a chance. And then he did this little, funky dance before a practice once, which if it's October, you've practiced 50, 60 times. You're just trying to lighten the mood.
Sure.
And then at the end of that, they go, so this is our leader, huh? And yeah. But I find it ridiculous but I will say this, I don't want to see it as political, but Joey McGuire did say, look at the Big 12. Who's going to win it? A former Pac-12 team, which the Pac-12 got no respect over SEC or Big 10. Look who's winning the Big 10, Oregon, which is also a Pac-12 team. They got no respect. So he said this respect where the SEC is getting 5 and 6 teams in or the big team has to stop. And he was defending the Big 12 in that way. And I agree with him 100%.
I do too. It's like, and I'm going to pare this down. This is probably not going to be an apples to apples comparison, but it's like high school districts. Certain number get in, certain number don't. And if they go to these 4 conferences eventually, I think they ought to have 2 or 3 spots for each one. And if you're not in those, you're out.
I like it.
And
I like your idea.
You know, none of this subjective stuff that's out there for somebody to vote on based on points or strength of schedule or whatever. It's where you finish in your conference.
I like that. I do.
And you're in or you're out. That's me. That's the old school way.
Yeah. And then 2 wild cards or whatever, or 4 wild cards. Yeah.
Yep.
I do like that. I do like that a lot.
That could be done. You could do, if you've got 4 conferences, you could fix it where 3 teams get in.
Yeah.
And mix it up, and the 1 seeds could have a bye. And
yeah, but you also need to get a wild card. We want to see a Boise State if they match up. You know what I mean? That's what this is all about. The 12 team. It'll be exciting. The bowl games that you and I grew up with are now gone. It's not this New Year's Day sit down and watch a bunch of awesome bowl games. The Rose Bowl and then the Orange Bowl at night, the Cotton Bowl in the afternoon. So.
I will say, going back to Ben, I don't know Ben Arbuckle. I know who he is.
Yeah.
But I know his wife extremely well.
Wow.
So his wife and my middle daughter were the best of friends growing up. They lived right down the street from us. So Mark and Mary Heiner, that's their son-in-law.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will know Kylie Heiner because we have a park named after Kylie in Canyon.
Yes.
So that would be Kylie's brother-in-law.
Yeah.
That's Mark and Mary's son-in-law.
Yeah.
They live in Canyon. Mark's the biggest OU fan
I know. How cool is that?
Known to mankind. And he's traveled all over the country watching Ben while he's at Washington State. So I texted Mary the other day, and I said, I know y'all have to be thrilled. She goes, oh, my gosh, we are. And, and Ben and Lauren have kiddos, and so they're going to get to be back closer to home. And, there's a family side to this thing, too.
Totally. He's closer to home.
A lot of people don't realize, but his in-laws live right there in Canyon, Texas, and some of the finest people you'd ever meet, Mark and Mary Heiner, and I'm thrilled for them.
And Mark's a huge OU fan.
He's massive.
How
OU.
Cool would that be? You're
going to have a great seat to every ball game.
Yeah, you're going to have a great seat, but you're going to get some insight.
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing about Ben. He's not even 30 yet, and I know Ben. Not as well as a lot of people around here, but I do know him well. He used to come up to the Globe News when he was at WT, and we made him an unofficial intern. And he would come up on Friday nights and just
the student in him.
Yeah, that's just.
I don't know him, but that right there tells me that's the student in him. He wants to study it.
But his maturity level is off the chart. Yeah. I'm just going to tell you right now. And his parents live in Houston, so now not in Canadian, but. It'll be interesting, you know what I mean, to see what goes down. But the playoffs are here. Along with that college, before we get out of it, Heisman Trophy votes are due Monday at 5 o'clock Central or Eastern time, I think it is. I happen to have a vote, have for the last 20 years or so.
So explain to people how the Heisman vote works.
Yeah, what they do is, Jimmy, and first of all, I take it very serious. I saw Travis Hunter twice in person this year, specifically to try to get eyes on him, tried to get an interview with him. Couldn't quite score that, but I did talk to a lot of CU people who are there every day at practice, so I feel good about that. Things like that, but I don't take it for granted. And let's get real. They want all parts of the United States represented, so I respect that about the Heisman. There are certainly people who are way more intelligent than I'll ever be on the college football scene. But I'm very proud to be able to vote, and I take it very seriously.
Well, you earned it.
Long story short, Jimmy, they send you a ballot, and this ballot arrived this week, and it's an electronic ballot. It used to be a written ballot, okay? And it was way cool. You're filling that out. You felt like you were signing a real document, you know. But now, and then there's codes to get into it, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know if people realize you actually vote for 3 people. So your first place vote, they get so many points, 3 points. Second place, you get 2. Third place, you get 1. But you have to list 3 people that they want you to. I don't think most people realize that. They think you just put down 1 name. So when you see all those points they have beside it, that is adding up their third, second, and first place votes. A lot of time they will put in parentheses how many first place votes.
Right.
But so you go to their site, it's sent to you. You have to have a password, double password. You fill it out, and then they give you a chance to change it like good documents do at the very end, and then you just hit the button. But if you don't have it in by Monday afternoon, and I try to wait, maybe not this year I won't, but I try to wait until the championship game's played out. I think you got to give everybody their due. But and then you send it off, and it registers, and that's it. But if you don't get it in by that time, they don't care who you are.
You don't count.
You don't count.
Wow.
You don't count. So and they asked not to release them. I respect that now. I didn't at first, but now I do. If they're asking you to do something, why not do it? You know what I mean? Like, don't release it until after the Heisman is presented. But I will tell you this: I think Travis Hunter is the favorite. I think what he's done. I don't think people realize playing averaging 112 or 120, whatever it is, plays per game on a field. How taxing that is on your body, and he was able to do a really good job. Do I think he's the number one wide receiver? Not necessarily. Do I think he's the number one cornerback? He could be, because like Dion said, somebody said, well, they're ripping on your guy because he doesn't have enough tackles. And Dion said, how many times do they throw over there? It was like my career. I never had that many tackles, but they never threw at me. So how do I make a tackle when I'm covering my guy? You know what I mean? And it's a great point.
Yeah.
So, but it'll be interesting. Colorado having a Heisman Trophy winner be very unique and kind of exciting for that era. Unfortunately, he'll be gone, into the NFL.
Yeah.
It's not going to be able to repeat and things like that. So, but anyway, that's how it works, okay? I think it's a little more I appreciate you letting me talk on that because 1, 2, 3, you actually have 3 players you vote.
We were talking off air before we started here, but you're talking about, and I know the kind of research you do, Lance. I've read your stuff for years, and you just don't sit down and write that kind of stuff. You have to research it. But tell the story about what you did. A few years back, because I think there's some folks that might get a kick out of this.
West Texas A&M had they had 2 great quarterbacks, Keith Knoll and Dustin Vaughn. So Dustin led. I'm pretty sure it was Dustin who led the nation in total yards. I don't care, Division III, Division II, Division I. I mean, he was lighting it up, in all this stuff. So I went ahead because you can vote for any player, by the way. It doesn't have to be a Division I football player. It doesn't have to be it can be a Division II, a Division III, an NIA. They just want the best player in college football. Yep. Okay, it's kind of cool. And so my third place vote that year was Dustin Vaughn.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? So he actually had a vote in the Heisman. Yeah.
Good for Dustin. He was such a good kid too.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah.
And had a little stint with the Cowboys. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I hope we haven't read this right, and it's not Keith.
Well, it could be Keith. I can tell you, I can remember a Thanksgiving, or either Thanksgiving or Christmas. I was during a holiday, and we were at my cousin's house, and he was playing for the Rams, and their number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks were out, and he was the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
And at one time, he and Charlie Martin were on the same team for just a little short period of time. Keith and Charlie, who played together at WT, were on the same NFL roster.
Yeah, I hope we're doing that. And I apologize. I mean, it's been a while, but yeah, that's what I did. I did, and no apologies. They kind of they don't really chastise you. They respect what your research is and all that. So, but yeah, very careful on that. So, hey, 2 more things. This golden rule in baseball that's come out. I don't know if you've heard about this. Mm-mm. Okay. Manford, the commish, the man himself, is presenting a rule where a player, you can save an at bat for 1 player at any time you want in the game. Yes, I know. Look at your voice. Look at your. So
you can put them in the lineup anywhere, anytime?
Yeah, you can save that, and they can be playing. So Shohei Ohtani, as Roger Clemens, by the way, pointed out on social media. Let's say, there's 1 out, 9th inning, bases loaded, Shohei's up. Man, I battle. I strike him out. I'm feeling great. With this rule, you can have him bat again. Shohei could have that. Could be the golden rule. I think it's the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard of in my life.
Why they got to do that kind of stuff?
I mean, it's
that's
not
my first reaction.
Yet,
this is the first time hearing it. Why you got to do that?
I mean, it ruins the integrity of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And baseball is one of those sports that the integrity of the actual game itself is still at a pretty high level.
Yeah.
I mean, it's baseball. And Why you got to do that? That's my response to that. Is why do you have to do that?
It's the most ridiculous. Why would you even bring that publicly? Here's the deal. Baseball is the worst at promoting their game and their players. NBA has it down. NFL has it down. Does a great job. Soccer does it. The Premier League does a great job. And baseball's the worst. And so you're going to throw in a rule that even a high school team would it just ruins the game.
So
it ruins the integrity
based off that
of the
comment
game.
right there, what piece of merchandise related to professional baseball do you see more of than anything? I'll tell you what I see.
Go.
Yankees.
Oh, yeah.
I see more Yankees caps, and I'm just caps.
Yeah.
I see more Yankees caps than I do anything. And we're in here in West Texas.
Yeah.
But I see more of those than I do Texas Rangers caps.
Yeah, that's a good
And it's
point.
because of the brand.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. We've had this conversation before. I don't think baseball does a very good job anymore of branding themselves.
Yeah, no,
not
they
like
don't.
the other sports do.
They don't.
You
not
mentioned
even close.
soccer. Soccer's spot on with what they do.
They are. I mean, yeah.
They're not an NBA. They're not an NFL. They're not a Major League Baseball yet. Now, on a global perspective, probably so. In the United States, not quite.
Yeah,
but they're right there because
it behooves me why you would let that out publicly.
yeah.
I think
why you got to do that?
I think I'm gonna. This is brutal to say. I think he deserves to be fired over this. If I'm a person in Major League Baseball, my leader's coming up with this crazy idea. I'm okay with change. I really am. They have changed them. I love the pitch clock. I've come to love the pitch clock. I think that's a great idea. That's a major change for baseball. But this is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
like you went to kindergarten class and say, pull out your crayons and write a new rule for baseball, and that's where he got it.
Yeah,
so I mean, it's crazy.
I don't
It's
like
Christmas time. Are you a Christmas movie guy? And if so, what is your all-time favorite Christmas movie?
Really, you got to ask that question of me. I'm the original Ralphie.
Okay.
I got my eye put out with a BB gun.
Okay.
I'm the original Ralphie before Ralphie was even born.
Wow. Yeah.
So when that movie came out, I'm like,
that's me.
okay. Kid looks way better than I do.
Yeah.
But that's me.
You didn't put your tongue on a pole, though, did you?
No. I know kids that have, but I have
know.
not.
I do too.
No.
Yeah.
No. No,
So that's it. I like it.
yeah. It's just I like comedy.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Well, yeah. I mean,
my serious Christmas stuff is centered around church and things of that nature.
yeah. So you like
I like to relax at home, watch a funny movie, anything. You know, the Elf or the oh my gosh, Elf.
yeah.
Help me out.
What do you mean?
The lead guy did the drum off with the on. Oh
Well, I
my
know-
God.
well, I was gonna say-
who's the Elf?
Oh, it's
Saturday Night Live guy forever.
Here
Help
we
me
are.
out, Maddie. Who is it? Buddy the Elf. Who's the? I'm just drawing a blank.
Oh, I can't believe
He's singing
we
a
forgot that.
song about
But I
PayPal
thought you were gonna.
right
I thought you
now.
were gonna.
Will Ferrell, thank you.
Will Ferrell, yeah.
I just went totally blank.
That's me right now. So I'm okay. I'm okay. I apologize.
Christmas, Chevy Chase.
Chevy Chase, yeah.
all
Don't you think
those-
that's a classic?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
My dad was the biggest, and people that knew my dad, he was the biggest Peanuts fan.
Oh, yeah.
Known to mankind. He had more Peanuts memorabilia than you could shake a stick at. And, anytime, and my grandsons right now are living the Great Pumpkin. They're pretending to be the Great Pumpkin. They're repeating things from the Great Pumpkin movie, and now Jalen and Seth will probably shift them to, Charlie Brown Christmas here for too long, and those are classics.
Yeah. My brother was a huge Charlie Brown fan, and we still have some. He still has some, And I got his daughter I found a Snoopy phone at remember the phones they used to have, like they would get
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Snoopy phone, but I got her that. But I mean, that's hard on. I'm with you. That music is iconic too when it comes on the Peanuts stuff. So I love that. But I'm with you. I like a good laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do too. Those are fun, and I cannot believe I couldn't come up with Will Ferrell's name.
That's bad for both
that's
of us,
not
actually.
good.
Yeah.
So funny.
You got anything else to add today?
I don't. I will say Panhandle Gives just wrapped up, and we had a tremendous Panhandle Gives campaign. I do want to say one last thing, and I posted this late last night on our Facebook page. I got word yesterday that my predecessor, Gary Abramson, passed away. Gary was the executive director for Kids Inc. from 1983 to 1995. So I just want to certainly share our condolences with his family. And Gary actually was a teacher of mine at WT for 1 year. He was the volleyball coach at WT.
Volleyball coach.
And he taught a class over in the kinesiology area, and I had a class with him. That's when I met Gary back in the early 80s. And so known him a long time and was kind of stunned to hear that yesterday. And so I just want to pass along from our office to their family our sincere sympathies and our condolences to someone that served this organization for 12 years. We're grateful for that.
Yeah, I served a little bit on the board with Gary on the Kids Inc. board, and then obviously covered him being the volleyball coach that he was. At that time we brought in the U.S. Olympic women's volleyball team to play in the Civic Center. Yep. He was a huge part of that. The one thing I'm going to say about Gary, though, they were doing a commercial. There was a car giveaway, and they wanted, and they were sponsoring like WT Volleyball or something anyway. And so they wanted him to serve a ball like off his knees through the windows. First shot. Bang. I was there. It's through. They're looking at him like, what? You know what I mean? It was awesome to see. Yeah. Well, I don't even think they used that. They used the photo of him next to it, which is cool. But he just whipped that thing right through them. I'm like, oh, my gosh.
He had a huge impact on youth volleyball in this area.
Yes.
A huge impact. He certainly put it in place here at Kids Inc. back in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And left his mark in that area without question. And I was really shocked to hear that news yesterday and wanted to just publicly say
and if you're hitting your knees
here
tonight with prayers for the Abramson family, also hit it for the Randall basketball team once again. Their Zach Bowl passed away. He was hit by a car in Lubbock. He was a member of the Raiders for the previous 4 years. Now he was in college, and it just rocks. It rocked. They had Coach go through all that. And now Coach Broders went through all that, and then they had to attend another service and bury one of their own. And it's hit that team hard. So just keep an eye out for the Randall Raiders boys basketball team. They deserve Trevor Johnson is the head coach this year, and he's been with that program for 10 years, so he knows all those kids really well. He's really tied into that. But what he's done as a leader there, I think needs to be applauded for a community where we kind of look at it as, hey, let's just go watch a basketball game, but that's a family now that's touched forever.
Yep.
But and Zach was like the coolest cat on planet Earth. Everybody loved him. Yeah. One of those guys. Yeah. No drama. Everybody wanted to be around him. Things like that. So
I'll tell you one thing I did on a positive note. I got to see last night. We've got friends whose kiddos go to Holy Cross here in town.
Yeah.
And so we've been going to some of their ball games, and we stayed. Ansley played in the girls' game, and we stayed for the boys' game because my wife obviously is in that circle. And so we watched the Holy Cross boys and the Happy boys. I'm telling you right now, our local news media missed some great highlights last night. These kids are big.
Yeah.
They had some 6'5", 6'6" kids on both teams. Fast-paced ball game, good ball game, clean ball game, two-man crew. John Doan, former baseball coach, Canyon, was one of the officials on the crew, and I told him afterwards, man, for a two-man crew on that ball game, it was fast-paced, did a great job. But that was a fun ball game to watch last night. And Holy Cross beat Happy by 20, had lost to Happy by 20 at their place.
Wow.
And so if you get a chance to watch either of those two teams, I'd highly recommend it. They're good. And for a small school, that's good basketball.
Yeah, and one more you got to go watch just real quick. Leah Chavez is the number 1 ranked girl in the country. She plays for Lubbock Monterey. Now, her rumored NIL deal is $2 million and a house. even if it's $1 million and a house. And Texas Tech, I think, are she's got like 5 finalists. So I don't know. I don't want to speak for her at all, but Texas Tech is still in the running, and you're saying that's crazy money for a teenager. I get it. But if she signed with Tech, their attendance would go up 4,000 to 5,000 immediately per game.
Yep.
So, but anyway, she was in Amarillo last night playing at Caprock. And if you're listening to this on the 13th, I don't like to put dates on this because we don't like to, put a box on this. But on December 13th, she's back in town playing Tascosa. And then next month, she'll be in town playing Palo Duro and Amarillo High. So if you want to get a chance to see the number 1 ranked girls basketball player in recruit, yeah, that's a way to put it, in women's basketball, she's right here in Amarillo 3 more times this year. And just look out there and say that's a millionaire the day she signs.
Yep. Isn't that nuts?
That is crazy. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. It's crazy. And she's coached by Jill Rankin, who's one of the classiest women I've ever met in my life.
Jill a long time. She's a good person.
Yeah. Hey, we've rambled enough.
Yep.
We appreciate it. We can't thank you enough. Number 30 in the books, man.
There we go. Good job.
Yeah, way to go. I'm high-fiving the microphone there. Apologize for that.
Thanks, Maddie.
Yeah, thank you, Maddie, for everything you do. We appreciate it. And we just want to remind you, if you see us out and about and somebody you want us to interview, we would love that, and we'll do the best we can to get them on. So, Jimmy, thanks a lot, man.
You bet. My pleasure.
All right, let's hop out of here. This was the Fieldhouse Podcast.